Not later, not drunk in the blur of some blue lit room. I knew before the glass sweated rings on the table, before her laugh found the crack in my ribs and tapped like a spoon on a jail cell. I knew when I checked my phone and turned it face down like a witness. I knew when your name came up and I let it ring on silent. I knew when I said long night with my coat already lying, buttons like little black judges all lined up and smiling. See, nobody trips through a locked door, nobody slips into a second life. I got the key from attention, filed it smooth on resentment, kept it warm in my pocket while you slept on the right side. And the worst part isn't hunger, hunger's honest, hunger knocks. The worst part is the architect inside me drawing exits in the walls, measuring the hallway, naming every shadow need, taking all the missing pieces and pretending they were permission to leave. I told myself it was only a loose wire, one bad spark in the tire chest, but I built a little breaker box. I labeled the circuit regret. I fed it little, almost let it hum beneath my tongue, then acted shocked when it lit up full bright and called itself love. I knew that's the knife and that's the truth. I didn't lose my way, I chose the road that split in two. I kept one hand on home and one hand reaching for the bruise. I knew when I stepped out anyway. Now listen, now listen, I could make it sound pretty if I sold it right. Say we were a house gone hollow in the copper pipes. Say you had your silence, I had mine. Two ghosts dividing chores by candlelight. Say love was a ledger with a lopsided page. Say I paid in patience, say I paid in pain. Say a man can starve beside a full plate when nobody asks him to explain. That's the varnish, that's the showroom version of rot. That's me selling smoke, a scripture from a pulpit I built on the spot. Truth is ugly, it's small or meaner. Truth has no violin. Truth is me liking how her eyes made me feel like I had just walked in. Like I wasn't husband, helper, father, dad, or dirty dishes, late rent pressure. Like I was the first draft of myself again. Uncreased, unread, better. And I chased that counterfeit clean, fresh laundered version of sin. Not because she was magic, but because she didn't know where I've been. She hadn't seen me fail at patience, she hadn't watched me shrink in stress. She only saw the stage lights, you got the wires and the mess. So when her hand touched mine, it was enlightening. It was paperwork, a signature, a little death with legible cursive. The body is a courtroom when the soul won't take the stand, and mine pled down to weakness with the evidence in hand. I knew that's the nail and that's the proof. I didn't lose my way, I chose the road that split in two. I kept one hand on home and one hand reaching for the bruise. I knew when I stepped out anyway. Anyway, I said the word like a bridge anyway. Anyway, then burned it from both ends. Second time through the story, and the words don't change, just the angle does. First time I was shaking, now I'm sick from what the shaking was. Same coat, same car, same bar light, same little coward with the hard life. Same cheap miracle, someone new, not knowing enough to know me right. I could call it a wound, I could call it a phase, I could call it a mirror to show me my age. But names of the sheets thrown over the furniture after the fire's already taken the place. You were home making ordinary holy, folding small clothes, killing lights, stacking tomorrow in quiet piles, doing love in lowercase lines. And I was out chasing capital letters, big neon proof I was still alive, as if being seen by stranger eyes could resurrect a man who keeps deciding to die. That's the part I hate enough to tell it true. I wasn't unloved, I was unstill. I missed a piece for a padded room and called destruction free will. I wanted voltage, wanted teeth, wanted some proof the blood could move. So I made a blade out of being bored and handed the handle to use. There's a moment before betrayal where the whole world goes dead still. A thin white second on a stairwell, a coin on the edge of a till. I stood there, I knew there I could've killed the spark with shame. Could've gone home with empty hands and kept our life the same. But choice is quiet, choice don't shout. Choice is a call from the back of a chair. Choice is the door that doesn't creak because you boiled to get in there. Choice is the lie you rehearse so to talk you in at night. Choices kissing someone else, then checking if your story sounds right. I knew, no devil, no spell, no moon, no tragic song to dress it up, no dark romance, no excuse. I kept one hand on home and one hand lighting the fuse. I knew, and I stepped out anyway. I didn't fall, I drew the door. I named it need, I called it more. I crossed the line, I came back changed. The house still stood, it wasn't the same. I knew, I knew, I knew.